Hello and welcome to Little Learners. In today's video I'm going to be giving you 10 tips for behaviour management in the classroom. Now there are so many tips that I could share with you, but if I went into all of them this video would be really long. So I'm going to keep it to 10, and then if you like this video and want more, give this video a like and I'll know to do some more videos like this. Now of course it's important to remember that some behaviour management tips work for some teachers and other teachers it doesn't really fit in with their style of teaching. These are just things that I have used and found really effective. So let's get started. Number 1. This is a really obvious one, I think, but it's something that many teachers fall at. It's kind of the first hurdle that they fall at, and that is consistency. Whatever you decide your behaviour management techniques are going to be, whatever rules you're going to have in your classroom, you must be consistent. The minute you give in to something a child is doing and don't stick to the rules that you've put into place, your entire behaviour management philosophy falls apart, and children notice that. They can't respect boundaries if they're not always there. And of course children are always testing boundaries, that's kind of their job as a child, so you need to make sure they're consistent. Number 2, carpet spaces. Now this is something that when I first started teaching, wasn't really a fan of. I didn't really like the idea of children having specific spaces to sit on the carpet because I just wanted them to be able to sit where they wanted to, and I could move them if they were being disruptive. And I'm always saying on this channel that I'm very happy to have my mind changed about things, and wow was my mind changed about this. So in my second year of teaching, we each got in early years this carpet, and it has shapes on it, and not only does it mean that every child can be assigned a space, but it also means that they have their own space, so they have their own square. The problem with carpet spaces before, I found, and I think this is why I didn't really like them that much, was that children were told what order they were allowed to sit in, but they could still kind of sit on top of each other and their knees would be touching, and then they'd get annoyed at each other, so it didn't really solve that problem. So this carpet was amazing. Hopefully I can find it and I'll put a link in the description box. Obviously it depends if your school can afford something like this, but something else you can do is just use really strong tape and mark out your own spaces on the carpet if you have space to do so. You can control where they sit, and it means you can have certain children near you that you think need to be near you. If you have a teaching assistant, you might want to have certain children around sort of the edge of the carpet so the teaching assistant can easily get to them and support them in whole class situations. Also it means that you can make sure that any children with sight or hearing problems are closer to you and closer to the board, which makes it better for them. Number 3, stickers. It sounds so simple, but oh my goodness, stickers are amazing if used correctly. They like to tell each other what they got their sticker for and they're so proud, and they get to talk about their achievements, which then of course lends itself to kind of language development and personal development as well. So to make sure that certain achievements are celebrated kind of even more than others, I would have kind of stickers that were maybe the cheaper stickers like stars and things like that that children can get for certain activities, and then I would have my special stickers. So these were either 3D stickers that are kind of like bubbly, which are more expensive, and obviously I'm not going to give out all of the time because I buy the stickers myself, and also stickers that have my name on it. So it says, Miss or Mr. whoever says I've done a great job, or says I've done great at phonics today, or one of those things, and you can kind of tailor them. And I think personalised stickers are amazing because children think it's really cool that your name is on them. And I just think positive reinforcement, which we will go into a little bit more in this video, is so important and really effective. Number 4, the child sandwich. Now I think sometimes people call this the child burger or just don't have a name for it at all, but this is when you put a child who is perhaps misbehaving a little bit or has a tendency to misbehave in certain situations. For example, let's use going to assembly, so lining up and walking to assembly. You put that child in between two other children who are usually very well behaved in that situation. Because if they're with someone else who is either more likely to misbehave, or, they're just really good friends and they cannot stop themselves from chatting because, that happens with children, then this just kind of puts that aside and makes sure that they don't have any encouragement from the children around them, and also they're seeing a good example set by the other children. Number 5, sharing work is so important. When a child does a really good job, if they are okay with you showing their work, I think it's always important to ask the child's permission first. You should get up and show all of the other children and celebrate their work. Now, you do want to make sure that you're not always doing this with the same children, and that just because a child doesn't achieve as highly as another child, it doesn't mean they're not achieving. And it's important to celebrate the achievements of all children, no matter what level they are at. Now, you can do this just in the middle of learning, or you can save some work or save stories of what children have done until maybe just before lunchtime or at the end of the day, and you can share it. And then towards the end of the year, kind of as you're going through the year, give the children a bit more independence and ask them to put their hand up and share something that they're proud of that day. It really encourages them to do their best, to work hard, to behave well, so that they have something to share with the class and be proud of. Number 6, don't shout. This one is, I think, quite controversial between a lot of teachers, and often, but not always, it's controversial between older teachers and younger teachers. But I am a firm believer in not shouting at children, because that's not going to really get you anywhere, and I think it's extremely disrespectful, and we need to show children respect, because if we expect respect, then we need to be showing them how to give that respect. I think there is a huge difference between having an authoritative voice and shouting. You need to show that you are very calm and firm about where you stand with this. So instead of sit down, you just need to sit down. And obviously you use the teacher face too to show that you mean business. The only time I think it's acceptable to shout in a situation where you are with children in the classroom is if they are in imminent danger. They are doing something that is really dangerous. If you want a video on the teacher voice, maybe I can do one of those. I'm not quite sure how that would work, but I could give it a go. Number 7? Yeah, number 7. Separating the behaviour from the child. So this is something that a lot of people talk about, I think, with parenting as well, is when you are disciplining a child and you are talking to them about their poor behaviour, it is much more effective and better for the child's well-being as well to separate the behaviour from them. So instead of saying, you are a bad boy, it's better to say, this is not good behaviour. You're not labelling that child as bad or a misbehaving child. You are saying that the behaviour that they are displaying at the moment is not okay. I think if as soon as you label a child as anything, especially at an early age, they will believe it. So if you tell a child that they are bad, if you tell them that they are not well behaved, then they will believe that. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If an adult is already telling you that, then you might as well play up to it, because if you are a bad child, then you might as well behave badly. So I think it's really important to explain to children that this behaviour is not acceptable, this is why, and this is what you were doing that was not okay. Likewise, it's really important to talk to children about their good behaviour. So to say that I am really proud of what you did just then, and this is the kind of behaviour that we really like to see, and just showing children that there is a choice there really, because as I said, as soon as you label them, they don't have a choice anymore. That is who they are in their mind because an adult has told them so. So it's important to show them that there is a choice and to educate them about the different kinds of behaviour that they can take on. Number 8, responsibilities. Now, as a teacher with disabilities myself, I had to kind of work out how I was going to deal with lots of moving around on my days where I am not as mobile and in a bit more pain. And we won't dwell on that, but I found out that actually the way that I could solve those problems for myself was an excellent teaching point for the children. So I just made sure that slowly but surely throughout the year, children were given a bit more responsibility, which we should be doing with them anyway. So for example, our printer was down the hall and I would get maybe a group of 3 children who were, trustworthy and responsible to walk down the hall together, go to the printer, pick up the paper and bring it back together, and they would all hold it, and it was so cute. And then throughout the year, I'd kind of do that with lots of children because they all want the responsibility of going to the printer or getting your pen for you or just anything. They really, really love being given responsibility and feeling as though they are trusted. So throughout the year then, children would grow more accustomed to these responsibilities and be able to do lots of them by themselves. Now, I'm not saying that I, got my children to do everything for me. That's absolutely not the case. But I think certainly in my NQT year, I was so hung up on doing absolutely everything myself that if I hadn't had the need to ask the children to do certain things for me, then I wouldn't have implemented that into my teaching, and that would have been a real shame. So that was a big learning experience for me. And children just absolutely love having the responsibility. So taking the register back to where it needs to go, watching the other children when they're sitting on the carpets, making sure that they're all, doing what they're supposed to, walking around after tidy up time, making sure that everything is tidy, going to the printer for you, taking a message to another teacher for you. They really enjoy that, and I think it's important to embrace that kind of thing and to show that we can all help each other. Number 9. I just mentioned tidy up time, and this one is very important to me. So tidy up time can be absolutely chaotic, and I firmly believe in tidy up music or a tidy up countdown. So I will link in the description some of my favourite tidy up musics, but there are so many out there, so you can just find one that suits you the best. There are lots of different ones, some that are really upbeat, some that are slower and calmer, and you can kind of mix it up depending on what kind of day your children are having. So if they are a real handful one morning, you might want the calmer tidy up time because you want them to kind of settle down for the next phase of the day, the transition. One of my favourites is Mission Impossible because you get a countdown on it, and the music, obviously they get to know when the music's getting to the end, and I think it's really important for them to have this idea of time and how long it should take them, and they all know that by the time the music finishes, everything needs to be tidied and they need to be sitting on the carpet. Now, of course, depending on what activities you've been doing that day, you might want to pick a shorter or longer tidy up time song because you don't want to give them one that is completely impossible to tidy up in that time. So just make sure that you're being realistic, but tidy up time music works a treat. Number 10. This one will definitely divide people, and I think I might do a whole video about this, so comment below if you think you'd like one about this topic, but it's the timeout. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the timeout, and I don't think that it works in every situation. However, I do think that it's important to give children time to calm and to reflect and think about their actions and what they want to do moving forward. Sometimes when you are in when you are in such a mind frame of being really angry or really upset, you can't get out of that mind frame, and just trying to keep talking about it is not going to work, and you just need time. So with timeouts, when I do use them, I will give a child a warning first, and then if that behaviour is repeated, they will go to timeout. I will explain why they are on timeout and that they need to stay in timeout for the amount of time that I have said. So usually it's 4 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. I use teacher time for that, so some children might benefit from a sand timer, and you'll know what's most appropriate. So I also tell children that they must stay on their spot for that amount of time, and if they get up from that spot, then they are taken straight back. I keep doing that until they have finished their 4 minutes or however long at the timeout spot. I will then go back to the child, explain to them again why I put them on that spot, and ask them if they have anything to say, and then we will be able to discuss it. I think it's very important to realise that if a child is really angry or really upset, it's not always appropriate to put them in timeout straight away. I think it's important, as I said earlier, to be consistent with your rules and your behaviour management kind of style. So it may be that they do need to go in a timeout at some point, but if emotionally they are not ready for that kind of aspect of the discipline, then you need to deal with their emotion first. It's really, I think, a common sense thing, and if you have a friend, for example, who is really upset about something, you're not just going to say, okay, go and sit over there for a minute. You're going to try and comfort them and listen to them. Children want to be listened to. So even if you sit and you listen to what they have to say so they can get it all out, because all they want to do is just tell you what is going through their mind, and you say, okay, thank you for telling me, I understand. You do need to go on the timeout now. So we will do the timeout, and then afterwards, after you've had a little bit of time just to rest, we will come back to this. I use timeouts at the beginning of the year, and I would say by kind of week 5, I don't have to do timeouts anymore. Every year. I have found that it works really effectively. So I hope these behaviour management tips have given you some ideas. Maybe if you were unsure about certain things, hopefully they have helped you. As I said, there are so many different aspects to behaviour management, so give this video a like if you would like me to give you some more behaviour management tips, things that have worked well for me in class. Again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.